and welcome to Formula Xbox Season 4. It's round 8 and we're here in Canada for what should be another exciting race. Canada always provides some exciting racing, and predictably it's RLSTRM on pole once again. His control of pole has been faultless this season. He's been on pole for every race, as we have 2, 3, 4 and 5 red lights. And we're away in Canada, and the drama's already begun as Insignia, second in the championship, has actually disconnected even before the start. So that's advantage to RLSTRM for another extension of his championship lead, as we see Pro Racing challenging him through his turn 2, but it looks like RLSTRM's got good traction out of there, and Pro Racing looks like he's got to defend now from 2 cars behind. As we see from Sam's perspective in P4, didn't get the greatest launch. He's under a bit of pressure from Casey Legend, but he's now looking on the attack more than the defensive, and he's trying to go up the inside of James, who's got a little bit wide into 2. And so these are the 2 cars battling behind Pro Racing. It seems Sam has the high ground for turn 3. He does indeed, and he's got the move done through 4. So, as James now goes wide, so that's him into P3, into podium position, but it's still very early days. We see Stockmat's perspective now with Jokers on the back of his podium in Brands Hatch, and we see Stockmat is spun round, and drama for him on lap 1 down in P11 there. It's unfortunate for him, but he's got a lot of ground to make up now. At least it's happened at the start of the race, so he knows where he's got to go from here. And contact there, and Drastic Midget's in the wall. He's lost his end fence and almost gets hit by the McLaren as he barrels through past the Marussia there. Obviously Drastic Midget should be in a Red Bull, but unfortunately after the lobby glitched for the first time, he forgot to select the right car, so reprimand for him, but I'm sure he won't do it again. As we see the incident from Hamilton fans' perspective, really just a racing incident, I think. Arte just got called out there by the way Drastic Midget went so wide at turn 5, and we see Stockmat going around the outside of him. So, lap 2 now, we've got Hamilton fan in P8, and he's under pressure from Jokers and the McLaren, as he's looking to go around the outside, which will have the inside, in fact, for turn 1. And Hamilton fan's on the grass, it's going to hurt his braking, but he's got the high ground for 2. Jokers is hanging it out around the outside, and he's got the move done as Hamilton fan gets a bit of poor traction out of 2 there, just gets it all crossed up on the exit. As we cut to lap 4 now, Sam in P3 under a lot of pressure from James. These two have been battling from the start, and James has gone around the outside with the aid of DRS, but he's gone in very deep into 1. Can he get the cut back for 2? No, because he's blocked past him, so he's going to have to use some curves on the exit of turn 2 and into turn 3. He's got the outside line. This is going to have to be pretty bold from Sam, and he's just about pulled it off. Great manoeuvre there, just about held on to it, kept it on the road, and deserves P3 after that, but I'm sure James will have something to say about that, and that's not going to be the end of it. As we see at the end of this lap, James is right on the back of Sam now, and it looks as though they've got 2 McLarens chasing them down as well, so we could be in for a big battle for third, not just these 2, as we see James now very, very close to Sam, putting him under a lot of pressure. And it's a similar situation to the lap 4. Sam has the outside line, James has the high ground. Sam's held on to the position again, and here we go. We've got the McLaren has joined the party of random beats. I think that's Arte back there as well. So this is now a 4-way scrap for P3, and Sam's got a lot of cars to fend off now. I'm not sure how long he's going to be able to last in that position. As we see race leader RLSTRM making his pit stop on lap 6, changing the super soft tyres and going on to the medium compound. And as you see Pro Racing in second comes in at the same time. A very impressive drive so far from Pro Racing. He's really kept RLSTRM honest and kept this race alive for P1. And after we've seen what RLSTRM's done to the opposition in other races this season, it's not always to be expected, and well done to Pro Racing for that. As you see, he's come out in traffic though, and this is going to cost him a lot of time to RLSTRM. He's behind this almighty scrap between the McLarens and the Lotus, and he's looking to dispatch them into the chicane, which is never too easy, even with DRS, especially when they're brawling it out up ahead and we've got the 2 teammates battling out. And Pro Racing's got it all wrong at the chicane, probably unsighted by that McLaren going in the pit lane. It is pretty deceiving when you're trying to make the braking zone and get it turned in. And so it seems he got distracted there perhaps, and Casey Legend's really taken that opportunity, very opportunistic overtake there, and gained the position. As we see Hamilton fan now under pressure from James Lang, who has of course stopped, and that's the move done there, nice and easy for him in the end on lap 7. And so here we go, Pro Racing still stuck behind Casey Legend, after his little incident there at the chicane. But he's got using rich mix and Kers out of turn 7, and he's got the move done into 8. So he's back in 3rd, and I don't think Jokers will be too much of a player in this battle between Pro Racing and RLSTRM, because I would expect him to pit very soon indeed. So battle resumes then between. Oh no, we have indeed actually got Pro Racing on the back of Jokers, so he's caught him up pretty quickly there. Obviously Joker's on the older tyre, and yes, he's diving into the pits now, I believe, so very worn out tyres there, and Pro Racing caught him up very quickly. So this battle resumed up front then, as we've got Pro Racing against RLSTRM. He's got a big margin to close down now. He's got quite a few laps to do it, but it's going to take a big effort from him. And against RLSTRM, you'd expect a rare mistake from him, really, for the Ferrari to challenge. And speaking of the Ferrari, with his teammate now, StopMat, who's just pulled a move 4P9 on Casey Legend. And yeah, good move into the chicane, really. With the DRS, he got a good run out of the hairpin. That's always required to be able to make a move like that. As you see, Casey Legend did have a look, getting the position back, I should say, into turn 1. But StopMat just about had that covered with the help of DRS. And so now he's not going to settle for P9. He's now on the back of Hamilton fan. So StopMat podium position, obviously, in P2 in Bahrain. So he's definitely used to being up at the sharp end, and he won't necessarily like having such a poor race by his standards, you'd say. But he's looking to get P8 now and recover from this position. He's taken Hamilton fan with a nice manoeuvre, not on the inside this time, but on the outside, showing a full range of skills into the chicane today. And Hamilton fan didn't really have too much of an answer there, as we see, using most of his curves that he had, or all of his curves that he had remaining at the exit of the hairpin there, which is always wise when you're defending. And he just always makes it difficult when you're taking an inside line to that chicane, because you have to brake so much earlier, and StopMat just swooped around the outside. Put a lot of faith in Hamilton fan, you've got to say there, but two drivers which obviously trusted each other there. And as we see the move again from a different perspective this time, you can see on the mini-map that RLSTRM on lap 12 seems to have got a hefty advantage over Pro Racing in the battle for the lead. So I don't imagine now that Pro Racing will have an answer to RLSTRM, and it looks like it's going to be another win for the Red Bull driver. But moving on to lap 16 now with 2 to go, it's Sam versus Jokers for the podium position. So this battle for the battle for P1 may be over, but the battle for P3 certainly isn't, as Sam is being challenged by the McLaren, who's just made it through there. But of course, the McLaren's got the DRS, but Sam has the tow, and we saw with Casey Legend the way he pulled in StopMat down the straight a few laps ago that it can be done. But it's not going to be done this time, and it's RLSTRM taking the chicane for one final time. He's done it again. We're getting pretty used to this site now, as RLSTRM takes yet another victory and extends his championship lead. You'll see on the race result there that Pro Racing is classified first, and we'll see him in Parc Fermé. But RLSTRM's penalties for corner cutting were in fact removed after evidence was seen, as was StopMat's. So Pro Racing, as we see in Parc Fermé, deserves this really after a really accomplished drive. But it's RLSTRM claiming the victory once again.